Today's discussion is about Topic 3, Science and Technology. We'll focus on ancient science and technology in China. Could you name some of famous inventions made by Chinese in history? Let us discuss together. Speaking of ancient science and technology in China, we should say, for more than a millennium, from the Qin dynasty before 1st century to the early part of Ming dynasty, about 14th century to 17th century, Chinese science and technology contribute greatly to the progress of human civilization. Ancient China had a well-developed agricultural system along with advanced irrigation. A scientifically sophisticated China was also be able to take advantage of an independent tradition in medicine and advanced botanical knowledge. Generally speaking, China's four great inventions, namely compass, gunpowder, movable typewriting, and paper making, not only changed the world, but also accelerated the evolution of world history. China further contributed to the world with its rich heritage in ceramics and silk. The world's most detailed and the earliest astronomic records were kept by the Chinese. They were the first people to take note of such astronomical phenomenon as comets, sunspots, and new stars, producing the most advanced astronomical observatory apparatus of the time. China dominated in metallurgy. It is said that when European steel could not turn out a single piece of cast iron in the 14th century, China had been producing cast iron on an industrial scale for 4 centuries. Then let us discuss the 4 major inventions in ancient China in detail. The compass, gunpowder, movable type printing, and paper making. The first important invention is compass. For Chinese, we say 指南针. Please look at the square bronze plate with a ladle in the middle. It is quite different from today's compass. How did it work at that time? The compass is a device showing geographic direction by using the Earth's magnetic field. It enabled trade and exploration to develop on a worldwide scale. Early in the Warring State period, while mining ores and metalling copper and iron, Chinese chanced upon a natural magnetite that attracted iron and pointed fixedly north, referred to as South Pointer. The spoon or ladle shaped compass is made of magnetic lodestone, and the plate is bronze. The circular center represents heaven, and the square plate represents the Earth. Chinese characters on the plate denote the 8 main directions of north, northeast, east, etc. This type of compass has been scientifically tested and found to work tolerably well. The earliest record of use of the compass in navigation was in the Song dynasty. Without the invention of the compass, many historic ocean voyages, such as the voyage to India by Vasco da Gama, Christopher Columbus' discoverer of America, Ferdinand Magellan's round-the-world voyage, and Zheng He's 7 voyages to the Western Ocean would have been inconceivable. This compass vehicle was an ancient Chinese vehicle equipped with many geo wheels and wooden figures that always pointed south no matter which direction the vehicle went. It is an earlier and more primitive form of the compass. Here I'd like to talk a bit more about Chinese navigator Zheng He and his sailing to the western seas for 7 times. Zheng He was a great navigator and a diplomat in Ming Dynasty in China during 15th century. Thanks to the invention of a compass in China at that time, he sailed to the Western Oceans for 7 times. There were amazing voyages in ancient China and also in the world. Zheng He's voyages to Western seas were the largest in ancient China, with the largest number of ships, sailors, and the longest time. They were also the largest series of maritime expedition in the history of the world before the voyages of European geographic discoveries at the end of 15th century. The second important invention in ancient China is paper making. In Chinese, we say 造纸术. Look at the picture in the middle. The man is the inventor of paper making, Cai Lun. Before we turn to the detailed discussion about our paper making, let's see a short movie about inventor of paper making, Cai Lun.
Cai Lun. Cai Lun, a scientist of the Eastern Han Dynasty, is credited with inventing paper. As a young man, he went to work at the imperial palace, and he stayed there for most of his life. He developed an interest in paper making while supervising engineering work inside the palace. Until then, some progress had been achieved in paper making, but not enough for it to become widespread in writing. In 105 AD, Cai Lun began experimenting with different materials. including tree bark, used fishing nets, and rags. His efforts paid off, and before long, he succeeded in producing quality paper that was soon in wide use. During the centuries that followed, China exported vast quantities of paper to other countries in Asia. 1,000 years later, the technique of papermaking reached Europe via Arabia. Thus, paper became a welcome replacement for expensive sheepskin in Europe. Papermaking is one of the 4 great ancient inventions of China. As an important contribution to world civilization, papermaking boosted cultural and scientific communication and exchange in ancient times.
Paper has been a major medium for recording, transmitting, and storing information in human civilization. The earliest characters were inscribed on bones, tortoise shells, and bronze wares in the Shang dynasty. It is about 17th century to 11th century BC, and later on silk, bamboo, and wood. In the Eastern Han dynasty, it is about year of 25 to 220. A court official named Cai Lun used inexpensive materials such as bark, hemp, rags, fishnut, wheat stalks, and other materials to make paper, known as Cai Lun paper. The materials were soaked, cut into pieces, boiled with plant ash, washed, and grounded with a pestle in a mortar. The mixture was then poured evenly on a flat surface to dry or baked to become paper. It was relatively cheap, light, thin, durable, and more suitable for brush writing. If we talk about the great influence of China's papermaking invention, we should say China's papermaking technique was first introduced to Korea and Vietnam, then to Japan, Arab countries, Europe, and the rest of the world, contributing to the dissemination of knowledge all over the world. The third important invention in ancient China is gunpowder. In Chinese, we say 火药. There is an interesting story about the invention of gunpowder. Gunpowder was invented in China not by people seeking better weapons or even explosives, but by alchemists seeking the elixir or immortality. Ancient Chinese alchemists believed that by putting different elements in a big pot and heating the pot over a long period of time, an element which could lead to immortality would be created. It was Sun Si-miao, a well-known pharmacologist of the Tang Dynasty in about 10th century, who first discovered the method for making gunpowder. How about military application of gunpowder in China and all over the world? Military applications of gunpowder began in the Tang Dynasty. Explosive bombs filled with gunpowder and fired from catapults were used in wars. During the Song, Yuan, and Ming Dynasty, military applications of gunpowder became common, and other weapons like flying fire arrow, bronze cannons, and two-stage rockets were introduced. In the Yuan Dynasty, the method of making gunpowder was introduced to the Arab world and Europe, bringing a series of revolutions to weapon manufacturing, as well as to stratagem and tactics on the battlefield. The fourth important invention in ancient China is printing. In Chinese we say 印刷术. Printing, known as mother of civilization, was another great invention of the Chinese people. It has a long history. It includes two kinds of methods: block printing and movable type printing. What is block printing? Block printing was probably invented between the Sui Dynasty around 7th century and the Tang Dynasty around 10th century. The process of block printing started with cutting of wood into blocks, and then characters we engraved in relief on the block. Ink was brushed on the engraved block, and a white sheet of paper was spread across it, then brushed with a clean brush on its back, leaving an image when the paper was removed. However, block printing was time-consuming, as blocks had to be engraved each time a new book was printed. It could take several years to finish making the blocks for a thick book. What's more, all the boards were useless after the printing, and a single mistake in engraving could ruin an entire block. During the Song Dynasty, around 12th or 13th century, Bi Sheng, a printing cover, invented mobile typewriting, which ushered in a major revolution in the history of printing. It was more than 400 years earlier than Europe's. Then I'd like to show you a short movie about Bi Sheng, the great inventor for movable type printing.
Bi Sheng. Bi Sheng was an inventor who lived over 1,000 years ago during the Northern Song Dynasty. and who is credited with inventing movable type printing. Before his time, printing was done using blocks, which was time-consuming. It was also highly inconvenient, since it was very difficult to keep and to change a wrong character. Bi Sheng was an experienced printer. Based on his many years of work, he was able to invent movable type pieces made of clay. Compared with block printing, the new technology had many advantages. Characters could be used repeatedly, the printing process became faster and needed less manpower and materials, and costs were reduced by a significant margin. The technology of movable type printing spread abroad, first to Korea, then to Japan, Vietnam, and the Philippines, etc. Later, during the 15th century, it reached Europe. Movable type printing, by revolutionizing the printing process, speeded the development of world civilization in ancient times. It, too, is counted among the 4 great inventions of ancient China.
Let's discuss the movable type printing in detail. Movable type printing involved engraving single words into pieces of clay, heating them by fire until hardened, and using them as permanent type. The type were then set into printing plates. Mobile type printing has its advantages. After the block had been hardened by fire, the type became durable, could be reused. The pieces of movable type could be glued to an iron plate and later easily detached. Many characters could be assembled to print a page, then broken up and redistributed, stored as needed. Movable type printing developed very quickly with the appearance of wood, tin, copper, and lead blocks. Until now, we have talked about the 4 great inventions in China. What I want to say here is China's 4 great inventions made tremendous contributions to the world economy and the culture of mankind. In addition to the 4 great inventions in China, I'd like to discuss briefly about other impressive Asian inventions. There are 5 works: abacus, silk, porcelain, seismograph, anesthetic, 围棋. Are you familiar with any of this? If you are interested in them, please further learn them online or through books. Another important thing related to this topic, science and technology, is traditional Chinese medicine. In Chinese, we say 中医. This is a very big topic. Here, just let us discuss briefly. Traditional Chinese medicine is very different from Western medicine in its means of diagnosis, treatment, and its composition of drugs and prescriptions. Traditional medicine is based on premise that the cause of sickness is an imbalance and the blockage of flow of qi and a vital force or energy, which is instrumental for the workings of a human body and mind. Treatment focuses on the profile of the patient and stresses the impact on patient's qi. There are many ways that imbalances in qi can be corrected. These include acupuncture, herbal medicine, massage, diet, and corrective breathing exercises such as Tai Chi or Qi Gong. Traditional Chinese medicine places a greater emphasis on preventing illness, so a balanced diet, enough exercise and rest, as well as a regular lifestyle, are all common prescription. Listening, smelling, inquiring, and observing and feeling the pulse are 4 diagnostic methods in traditional Chinese medicine. The doctor will listen to the patient's voice, breathing and coughing, smell the body and its excreted products, inquire about patient's case history, and observe patient's mental state, facial expression, compression, color of tongue, fingers, and nails. The doctor puts his index finger, middle finger, and third finger on the wrist of a patient, feels the pulse to ascertain the symptom and the causes of a disorder according to the frequency, fullness, evenness, and amplitude of the pulse. Then let us show you another short movie about theoretical foundation of Chinese medicine, Yin and Yang, and 5 Xing. Hope you learn more about traditional Chinese medicine.
The theoretical foundation of Chinese medicine, Yin and Yang and 5 Xing. Yin and Yang and 5 Xing are a general appellation for the Yin and Yang theory and the theory of the 5 elements. The ancient Chinese discovered the binary oppositions of heaven and earth, day and night, up and down, left and right, etc. They called the 2 opposite sides that exist in nature yin and yang, respectively. Yin represents cold, weakness, or passivity, while Yang, hotness, excitement, or activeness. According to the main postulation of Chinese medicine, a healthy condition is reached through maintaining the balance between yin and yang of the body. If a man is ill, it is because the balance between yin and yang is lost. Then an integrated treatment is in need to regain the balance. Another traditional view held by ancient Chinese was everything in the world was made up of the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, and could be categorized according to the 5 elements. The 5 elements helped to develop one another, while at the same time restricted and held down one another. The Chinese medicine explains the interrelationship between the inside human body and the outside environment with the theory of the 5 elements as a supplement to the yin and yang theory. According to the different functions and traits of the 5 internal organs, the Chinese medicine matches them with the 5 elements, which are in order as follows: liver with wood, heart with fire, spleen with earth, lung with metal, and kidney with water. A physiological system is thus formed centering on those 5 internal organs associating with other organs of the human body. Once the system is out of balance, people fall sick. As the 5 internal organs, even everything in nature, can be explained in terms of the 5 elements, the latter can be employed to help people regain the balance of their body when being cured. This is why Chinese traditional medicine gets its medicinal materials mainly from animals and plants.